This is Robert Kraft, and I'm your host on SNN Network. And joining me right now is Greg Peters. He is the president and COO of Bright Mountain Media. It's a publicly traded company. The symbol is BMTM on OTCQB. Greg, thank you for joining me today. How you doing?
Great, great, Bob. How are you?
I cannot complain, not one bit. I mean, I
Great.
can, but I think it'll bore you. But with that, as is tradition here, this is our first time doing an interview here. Um, let's start with a quick overview and history of the company, and then we'll go from there.
Great. So Bright Mountain, in the first phase, aggregated websites that focused on a young male audience. And in the second phase, starting in about 2018, the chairman saw that asset values in the digital media space were very attractive for a consolidation initiative. The goal here is to consolidate the product to market process and also aggregate walled gardens of demographics who go to certain websites on a regular basis. So for instance, we just bought a company called Wild Sky Media, which has 30 million monthly uniques, which are all female focused, which is a perfect walled garden and very attractive to the advertising industry. In 2019, the company also bought a company called Oceanside out of Tel Aviv, which is primarily for ad technologies. And then later in the year, in 2019, they bought my company, which is NDN, which became Media House, which was the largest syndicator of news content across the United States. So in the second phase, the initiative is to continue to buy companies, to consolidate the product to market process, to integrate those companies to be features on an integrated platform, to shorten the distance and the intermediaries between the ad buyers and the end user market demographic that the ad buyers are trying to reach, as well as to aggregate a significant amount of owned and operated websites.
So what would you say makes the company unique and different compared to some of your peers out there?
Well, the first thing is we're going to grow through synergistic growth, but we're also going to grow dramatically through acquisitions. Our chairman has done this 6 times in various technology sectors, unrelated to digital media. And he's been very successful each time he's done this. He's a financial engineer of sorts. He's looking at the space, looking at the aggregation of certain technologies which allow the ad buyers to have more trust and certainty in reaching their target audience. And our industry is ripe for this. I think it's natural in technology evolution. A lot of entrants come in, a lot of great technologies, great products, great companies, but yet downstream, they eventually get integrated on one larger platform. So what we're doing here is we're identifying those technologies, markets, companies, and we're integrating them in to make sure this is a more efficient spend in the process. And we'll be a greater influencer in how these ad dollars are spent and where they end up going to. Now, downstream, owning and operating these websites, it allows us to keep a greater part of the gross margin. It allows us to architect the pages that not only meet the needs of the audiences coming to those pages, but meet the needs of the ad buyers who are looking to reach those audiences.
I was just going to say, I've interviewed a few companies on here before that, have dedicated either news websites or some type of content creators, and they're in the process of doing content roll-ups, but you're not just in the content roll-up strategy, but also the technology roll-up strategy so that you can put it all under one roof. And when you get the ad buyer, you say, okay, not only do we have the tech, but then we also have downstream partners where all your stuff's going to show up. Am I hitting it on the head there?
Yeah, exactly. If I use the automotive analogy, we're building the whole car here. We're not just building new battery technology or a new engine or new tires. We're putting it all together because it needs to be together. The addressable market here in totality forecasted for this year, or actually, let's just talk about 2019 because this year is kind of strange with COVID. 2019 was about $129 billion with a B of an addressable market for the ads that are being spent on digital platforms. Now you think about it that large, and even if you exclude Google and Facebook, it leaves about a $42 or $43 billion market. where there are multiple disparate companies all chasing those dollars and chasing the eyeballs that are going to all these sites to deliver those dollars. And so the most efficient data-driven platforms that can make sure that these ad buyers are reaching who they want to, when they want to reach them, where they want to reach them, how they want to reach them, on no matter what device they're on, those are the companies that are getting the premiums in the public markets. And it's easy for us to see, you always want to say you don't want to be on the bleeding edge, you want to be on the leading edge. It's easy for us to see how this is all coming together to architect our solution.
So then, how do ad buyers find you? Because like I've bought in Google Ad Space before, and
Yeah.
and had my you get it where your own logo shows up on other websites, and it's all within the Google platform. So how do these ad buyers find you, as opposed to then just saying, I know Google, I'll just do it with that? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, so the ad buying process is either direct or programmatic. And programmatic is like real-time bidding. And so codes on the page and all the marketplace of ad buyers can look at the pages and see whether they want to buy you as you visit a certain site or not. That works very well as a primary backup to a direct sold reserved guaranteed campaign. So what we do from the direct side is we'll go to the ad agencies and we'll say, these are the demographics that we reach. We basically have two ways to reach them: owned and operated sites, and then a very large syndicated network that goes into newspaper, magazine, radio, and television sites. So we're able to package these demographics. And if the demographic wants a female audience, we go to the agencies and brands that have the desire to target that female audience. If the agencies want, 35, 54-year-old adult who's higher educated, more affluent decision makers in their family and their businesses, we go to the agencies and the brands that are looking to reach them. And usually, when you look at the big agency conglomerates, the agency, it's the sub-agencies that may represent 20 brands. And so when you go in and you speak with them, they'll say, well, those 8 brands are very interested in the demographic you're going to reach. And these, 12 brands, they're not, because they're looking for a young male audience that's going to college. And so there's a way to kind of focus and segment how we go to the agencies to position our value proposition. There's also a very defined methodology of participating in programmatic marketplaces.
And what's your background? I mean, you mentioned earlier that Bright Mountain bought your company, and that's really what brought you in there. But tell us a little bit more about even previous to that.
Okay, so the company that I started was NDN, or News Distribution Network, largest syndicator of news content across the United States for a long time. So the reason I even started that is I've run a public company. I'm a technology guy, trained by AT&T, worked all over the world. My background is business, finance, accounting, but I'm a technology geek. So I have patents as well. So the fun part about all this is taking technology and industry evolution and applying it into business models, for which finance and accounting is the basis for all the decisions. So that's my background. Trained by the largest of the largest, like AT&T, but spent a lot of time in the entrepreneurial world with a blank sheet of paper, trying to make it all come together. So when the chairman asked me to participate in this one and to acquire our company, I got really excited, because it's natural. No matter what industry you look at, and you look at technology coming in and industries changing dramatically, especially going from a brick and mortar world to a technology world, you can study adjacent industries and adjacent business models, and you can pretty much see where this is going to head. Silicon Valley's done this for years. Venture capital's done it for years. Combine feature functionality and make it faster, smarter, cheaper. And then you have a new company, right? Or you have an iPhone. It's things like this that you naturally can see. And that's what I got so excited about with this one.
So then, from what you can tell us, what are some of the company's value catalysts now moving forward for the rest of 2020 going into 2021?
Yeah, I think the value really is scale. And scale, we've done a good job over the last 2 years bringing together 4 companies. Now we'll continue to add to that. I would expect just as many companies to be acquired over the next 12 to 24 months. as we're growing and as our market cap grows, of course, the companies we're buying, instead of just adding incrementally, it could be adding a multiple of market, a multiple of people, a multiple of revenue. So that's a huge value catalyst that we are not sitting still. We are building and consolidating and solving a big problem this industry has. And as I mentioned before, it's a $130 billion addressable market. Whenever there's an addressable market that size and there's problems that are very evident to people, there's a gold mine to be had there. Now, it'll be split among a lot of companies, but I think we're on the start of something very important there. The second thing is, as you look at these walled gardens, Google and Facebook and Apple and all these guys, they're going to do away with third-party cookies and a lot of this tracking. It started in Europe. So now, the value of a walled garden, the value of a demographic consolidation that you can market gets past some of these cookie issues, because you'll end up having first and second party data that can be used because the people that go to these sites basically opt in for it, right? And so there's a lot of value in these downstream owned and operated websites as well. So there's a catalyst there that is very valuable with high gross margins and ability to market those people, that demographic, very well. And there's a value in consolidating and integrating this platform.
And where can my audience go and find everything they need to know about Bright Mountain Media?
brightmountainmedia.com.
Very easy, right? That's easy.
Yeah. Or I think, from a public market perspective, this search BMTM, you'll see all of our filings. One caveat on the filings: because we're acquiring companies so fast, filings have a tendency to be dated. So you have to look at our IR presentations and listen into interviews like this to see exactly what's happening today.
Fantastic. Well, with that, Greg, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Stay safe. Good luck. And I look forward to our next update.
Thanks, Bob.